What's up, guys? Boy here to be doing another. Wait, hold up. Where's the item? Oh no, is it somewhere stored of all things? Let me see something. Um, ow. I know where it is. I'll be right back. Much better. Let's. Oh, oh, here it is. Okay, that's. I know. That's just basically get over with this one. Okay. Yeah, you could probably know that was the only place I put this at, which it's a pain in the neck about it. So yes, the cold steel poleaxe. Let's begin. I think this is I got this guy alongside, and this is pretty a funny story about this whole situation. Now, when I first saw this, I want to get this of all things. You could probably know. Probably around about 2016, where I've like collecting Gulf War gear and all that stuff. Like surplus gear. And then last year, when I kind of want to get this as a Christmas present, but I couldn't get it because we were buying a plot of land, so you probably know. So I managed to finally got this when I decided to order something very similar, the Warhammer. You could probably know. Now, funny part about this one is this one's a little smaller. The head is a little smaller than the poleaxe. You could probably know. So you could probably. So let's talk about it, shall we? We got these the brackets, and you do have to like Phillips screwdriver all around. You could probably know. Yeah, you do have to like pre-drill the holes first, and then you basically use a screwdriver and put them in there. And of course, the weird part about it is the handle itself is basically a little bit more oval shaped, like to basically a little like straight line, but directly. This one right here just like goes on top, like a curve of all things, like that. And yes, this is actually how you handle the poleaxe of all things. Handling the poleaxe. Yeah, kind of known for a fact. And of course, the axe head itself is made out of 1055 carbon steel, and it's made in Taiwan, as you could probably know. So there's the axe head, kind of similar to it, and of course the hammer end. The hammer end that looks similar to the Warhammer. But what's so funny about this is kind of basically. So this is based on the knightly poleaxe, or the Mordax, which is basically translated to murder axe in Germany. They just like named it as axe of all things because that's what they're basically called. But you could probably know based on more of the knightly poleaxe. You could probably know. But the problem about it is you could probably see the biggest problem here is if it's supposed to be the knightly poleaxe, why is there no tip in, like, similar to like a normal poleaxe? But I guess Cold Steel just says like we're just gonna call it poleaxe and just basically be a longer version of an axe, which just makes it even more funnier. Now, for mostly the axes I own, which you could probably know, yeah, this is probably my longest axe of all things. but it's actually even bigger than my scythe of all things, which is even more funnier. Which is, and yes, this is an actual, like, whole entire head of all things. Because you basically needed this big ol', like, screws, and actually makes perfect sense about it. So, let's get to the size itself. Okay, there we go. So, the X blade, the blade itself, is around about of 6 3/4. You could probably know. The hammer, as you could probably see from here, I know it's a little difficult to. It's around about of 2.5 inch. 2.5 inches. The entire pole for the head itself is around about 6 inches. The entire head, or the length of a head, is around about of like 10.5 inches. 10.5 inches. Yep, 10.5 inches right here. And the pole itself, or the langets, or yeah, that's what it's called. The langets is around about of 12 inches. Meanwhile, for the entire pole, let me just go show you the deal itself. Okay, now we get to the size on the pole itself. Okay, so the handle on the pole, yeah, I know, this looks amateurish as hell. So, that's not, still there. So, the overall handle size, and this is basically just going to break its record, or hilariously so, is around about of 71 inches. Yes, 71 inches. You know, when all the girls want basically be a little taller than them and basically have 6-digit letters or 6-digit numbers in their money, yeah, this is what they're probably want have the most. And the overall size with the tip end is around about, you heard right, around about 73.5 inches you could see from here. And it's like nearly to 6 foot. So, let's get to another deal. So, let's get to the size comparison. So, here's the size comparison on the poleaxe. So, the katana is basically my longest sword, but it's also basically a little bit more bigger than the scythe itself. So, let's test this bad boy out. So the results out there is you could probably know that the axe end just, like one strike, it just destroys the bottle itself. Like, now I was trying to cut through the bottle, not like going half bottom to the thing. Which I did try that, but the thing is, because it was so much force of the thing, it didn't even cut the bottle itself. In fact, you don't have to, well, actually, this is the mark on there. You know what the funny part about it? It exploded. I mean, it was so strong that it actually just destroyed the bottle itself by exploding. Here is the slashing on the bottle itself. Again, it's went through, yeah, just one, like, complete destruction, like a cleave to it. But, jeez, I mean, look at that. Look at that thing. That was pretty crazy. And here's actually the, well, basically the slashing part, or the chopping part. Yeah, that's, I think because of, you gotta have to directly aim it in the center of the axe head, which is a little crazy. And just to try out another part, basically just hitting this thing again, and you could probably know that entire thing just destruction on that. We can all agree with that one. That was pretty destructive. And then we get to the jug itself, which, don't worry about this. Jeez, that's like torn through the bottle itself, like the whole jug itself. It's just ludicrous. Look at that. It looks like I'm just like randomly slashing the jug all the time, which is crazy. I mean, that's insane. Okay, and now let me tell about this situation, and I think it probably may mention this here, but this axe head, the size of the axe head, is kind of had the similar, rather, size to the zombie tools, the Kraken, which, despite the Kraken's, like, actually, it's almost slightly taller, or the axe head itself, the blade head, or the blade for the axe head, like, completely, almost, like, a little bit taller than the poleaxe. Which, now, to be fair, this is probably my second polearm I've tested, and pretty much my second polearm that I've used. My second polearm I used basically to chop stuff with, like the scythe of all things. Now, I'm not going to blame, and even that, so you could probably know, even chopping on wood actually kind of had some damage on basically on the pole itself. This one right here, little chunk of wood. It didn't like explode or something, which is, thank goodness about it. And but it's more likely on the level of just know how to control the thing. It's like, you could probably know that one. So let's get on to the next test. Well, with another jug, and see if that would work. And after that, and we do that result, we're going to test on the hammer end on this one. So, next tests. So the results out there for that one, look at that thing. That's just exploded, like, oh man. That's that can's no more. Like that's the entire existence just no longer. The striking end, there's the diamond bit. Completely blew the can up, like, basically turns into a trash compactor, trash compactor cold steel style. So let's get to our next test. The results out there. Whoa, that's a big old chunk. And this is from the hammer end on this one. Yeah, that's really pretty crazy about that one. For the harder plastic, it really took me a hard time to do it, or hard time to actually find a way to destroy this with the hammer end. Well, I finally did. That's basically the harder end on that one. That one's a little bent too. Yeah, it's kind of about it. Oh yeah, I think the strength was I think I swinged it so hard that the entire bottom exploded, which is very typical of that one. And then we get to the jug itself, which you could probably see from here. Yeah, look at that. There's a big old mark on that. I think it's because it was trying to hit this, and then the whole thing exploded. And just to make sure to not take an eternity to basically destroy it with the hammer end, I decided to chop it with the axe end, which again, it cut through it like it's nothing. So we're going to go to our next test, which is basically using the same deal with the hammer end, but we're going to freeze freezing the bottles themselves and see what will happen. So let's go to our next test. So the results out there is really more crazier with the freezing the bottles in ice. Like that's like one blow. Yeah, that's not gonna go well with you. You know, for the other hand, this one, look at that. That's completely destroyed the bottle itself. Yeah, it basically was a little bent. I could probably, that one here. Could probably, that one here. Yeah, you could probably see that whole situation. Here's a mark right here. I think, yeah, I can see. That's just like completely just destroyed. Meanwhile, on the other hand, this one, again, here's the hammer mark on that one. And, well, of course, it exploded once again. Let's see. This, again, try hitting it with the hammer end. It just probably would bend the bottle or something. Again, and of course, I have to basically cheat my way out of here to really just chopping the bottle in half. Again, it's really insane about that. Like, it's like I can just take the bottle off like it's nothing. And then we get to this one here. There's the hammer mark on that. Just that just completely ripped apart that. You could probably see. Yeah, look at that. There's one there. Yeah, that completely destroyed the bottle jug itself again. That's just crazy too. And yes, I've also cheated at the same time because wanted to go want to see if it could actually chop off some of the jug itself. You could probably know that situation. So, I'm giving the final verdict on the Cold Steel Poleaxe an astounding of an 8 out of 10. Now, for one probably the common one you'll know, like, you're gonna have to basically know for a fact, have to learn how to use a polearm, and I'm not really much well known for using polearms, if you could see from most of my videos and all, which is understandable. Like, this is probably my first time I tried a polearm, and I like it and don't like it. Like, I can actually use it like a spear too, because I can actually use the piercing end, the horn end of all things, which you could probably know. And another thing that I am taking a point off is you have to assemble this thing. And for anybody who never bought one of these things or never bought something similar to any of the cold steel like axes or the ones with the entire handle, hickory wood and all that, you do have to actually pre-drill the holes, which you could probably know that one. And trust me, we will get to that guy later. But the thing is, and why I'm actually saying about, sometimes the screw can actually be pretty bad. I mean, here is the middle of it. See something about it? Yeah, see that? That actually used to have one of the screws inside of it. But since it broke off and I was like chopping down trees at a property, I completely lost that piece. That's yeah, just be careful with those. I think I'll eventually get like a screw and then put it in there. But yeah, it does require to pre-drill holes. You'd require power tools and all that stuff. And here's a couple of my mess ups. Like, I couldn't, the hole was a little too big for those screws of all things. And I know for a fact that a lot of people will say, like, well, why not just might as well get a smaller handle and all. I'm testing out on just how the poleaxe came with. That's basically what my thing is. Um, it's one of those weird experiences. Like, okay, if I can actually be master that, you do need some required training and all, which that's basically another thing. And another thing I basically kind of really missed our opportunity about is like if it's supposed to be like based on an actual medieval poleaxe, which I've seen videos of. I've actually seen pictures and videos of it. It was actually the actual poleaxe is what actually going to have like a spear point, similar like a halberd. And the other hand, and yes, I'm pulling this up, is the tip end, basically the pommel end on this one. The reason why I said this because another one that does require for the poleaxe is a metal cap at the bottom of the pole. Like you could probably know. I think for the zombie apocalypse of all things, it actually basically would be perfect about it. Because for one, you got the blunt end, makes it pretty good about it. And of course the axe end, and yes, I'm gonna say here, before you buy any cold steel stuff, I recommend you sharpening them, which you could probably know. They say like they are sharp out of the box, but you gotta need to sharpen them because they can pretty much be dull when you actually get them out of the box. Because I think a couple of my pieces like the kukri machete and the smatchet, my discontinued smatchet were not sharp. I mean, let's be honest. That's basically the most common thing you'll ever see. But as you can definitely know, for something like that, I can actually use this one or the axe end, or hell, I can actually use the point ends to, actually turn it like an actual spear. Something like that. As you could probably know, this is probably would be great about it, but again, just like you don't really can have this magically being disappearing in your backpack or your inventory. This is more likely on the level about that, which is pretty hilarious to see that. So you could, again, basically kind of have to bring this up again, which is pretty funny about it. I think things like basically any weapons that basically have like, the blunt ends, like the Warhammer, and something like that could work. The zombies won't actually go near to you because you have like a pretty good reachability about it. But it won't be like tight corridors. That's probably won't be good for that. I think stuff like basically like the zombie tools Hallion, which is right in the back, and the Felon, basically probably my go-to pieces, and of course the Kraken, my zombie tools the Kraken, which that one actually is small, sure, and it also had that goofy spike on there that could decapitate a water bottle. Yeah, I actually tested it, and it actually decapitated the bottle itself. But, as you could definitely know, it's an overall, if you gonna, before you buy this, and just learn how to use a poleaxe or a polearm, and if you basically know for a fact, I kind of sucked at it, that's basically my fault for that, but if you basically know for a fact about it, it's basically a pretty decent one. I would be pretty mad if it was a little expensive of all things. Now for $200, it's a not bad piece of all things. And, that's fine. That's okay about it. I think it's more great for beginners too. I think another one like something like the boar spear, that's another one. And of course and I will basically get my hands on this piece, which is the Viking battle axe. It is a little bigger, or rather smaller handle, but it also have the axe hand, or the axe head, is a little bigger than this guy. But it's a pretty decent and a pretty good one of all things. So that wraps up of the Cold Steel Poleaxe. I'm Artilla Boy, and I'm signing out. I'll see you guys next time.